Hello and welcome to another episode of Book Bytes. My name is Javier Llerena and I am the co-founder of Boundless, let's do this right on the camera. Boundless Love, Healing Your Marriage Before It Begins. I wrote this book with my wife, Christina and Javier Llerena, and today we're going to cover chapter 8 of the book. And what we're doing in Book Bytes is we're giving you a taste of the chapter. We talk about 3 main points, and then we invite you to answer some reflection questions, and those can be done with your significant other, the person you're going to marry, or perhaps keep those questions to yourself and write the answers and reflect on it. So today is a very special topic for me. We're talking about sex and intimacy before marriage, and it's something that is really dear to my heart. I found out later on in my marriage that most of my sex education was provided by pornography. So I had a very disturbed and the wrong ideas what intimacy and sex is, and it took me a while before my marriage and during my marriage to really understand the right sex and intimacy, especially on a Christian environment. So let's dive in on the 3 key points, and then we jump into the reflection questions. So the first point is we live in a world that I call it the hookup, dating environment, where we think that we are providing love and we're providing intimacy just by having sex with that individual, right? And I think in a way we are really disturbing what intimacy is and getting to know the other person and really see them for who they are in the inside. And obviously as Christians, we really suggest, Christina and I, we do this in our every single marriage preparation, really restrain yourself from in chastity of not having sex before your marriage. And I will dive into why we do that and why we suggest that. But I think we live in a culture that, is really polluted by pornography and is really polluted by the way that I show intimacy by another person is just having sex, right? And that's something that we need to really be mindful when we're in that courtship period as well, right? We're not giving love in this way. We're not giving intimacy in this way, and actually we're not really creating trust either. I think we are creating a more separation by having promiscuous sex or just saying, yeah, it's just one night stand, or it's just a sex friend, they call it, I guess, these days. So really take a step back and think about, what I call the post night after, right? And the feelings that we get, and it's something that is slowly can really deteriorate what intimacy is when you jump into your marriage. The second point that I wanted to talk about is there's so many ways to show intimacy, right? When I grew up, right, I think I mentioned this at the beginning of this video that my sex education was pornography. So I for me, it was like, all right, well, I have sex with that individual and that's how I show my love, right? But there's so many ways that you can show intimacy, right? You can show intimacy by writing a letter and really going deep and expressing your feelings. You can show intimacy by a hug, a kiss. You can show intimacy verbally. You can show intimacy by doing action work, right? That you show that individual that you love them, right? So there's so many ways to really create that intimacy space, right? I think another one that is not mentioned here is we really show intimacy by just listening to the other person and really being there for them. I think that's a sign of intimacy as well. So the third point is what we talk about, kind of getting ready. Trying to get this, Christina and I, we're trying to get these couples ready for marriage. And one of the things that we talk about is that sex and intimacy is great, especially in your honeymoon stage is great. I think is a really beautiful moment for both of you. But there's so many elements that happen throughout your marriage, right? Your wife is going to have a kid. You might be in a period of a health situation, right? There might be a moment where you're traveling a lot of the time and you're away from your spouse. There's moments where health issues can really stop you. There's moments of depression. There's moments of really being angry or upset with your spouse that really will limit that intimacy space. So we need to be ready to really not think that sex is going to really be the primary focus of creating intimacy, but think on these moments that even though there's no physical touch, you can create that connection, right? By doing what I call acts of love and being life-giving to your spouse and really having patience, right? I remember in my marriage, with my first daughter, she was 9.9. I mean, she was such a big baby that when we brought her home, we didn't have any any newborn baby clothes for her. And Christina had a very difficult labor. She was in labor for almost 3 days. So we saw the nurses going we saw their shifts going back to back, and to me it was very stressful moment. From Christina, it was really devastating. She came out almost paralyzed in the legs. She was walking in a walker. Her labor was very intense, right? So we really sex and intimacy took a place of really for me for being life-giving to her during that moment, and showing my love and my intimacy, and not in a physical way, but in different ways, so she feels supportive. So you're going to go through these ebbs and flows in your marriage, and it's very important that at the beginning, on that courtship period, you really understand what sex and intimacy is, and not really not get fooled by how polluted we are in either soft pornography, open door to pornography that we see out there, and think that we are just by having sex we create intimacy with the individual, right? And also on ourselves. I think it kind of deteriorates ourselves when we're just having sex, right? It's just what I call an animal feeling, and then from there the connection that one builds when you know that person, when you're in love with that person, when you have married that person, obviously it's not going to be there. So it's going to be, it's going to hurt you at the end, right? So really understand that there's going to be up and downs. There's going to be moments where physical touch is not going to be there for you. So if we understand that and we put, other things that we can do, like, verbal, writing letters, expressing our feelings, doing acts of love, really being life-giving, supporting, really creating experiences for our spouse. That's intimacy, and that creates connection more than just having sex. So just to summarize, right, despite how our culture despises sex in marriage and relationship, healthy sexuality includes both sex and intimacy. By discerning about the influences around you and what you were taught or think how to know about sex, being open and loving and kind with your partner requires mutual respect, consent, and an ongoing communication. And that's a great point that we talk about is having that communication, right? And really talking to each other, and not just thinking in your head that sex is the only way to create that intimacy. So I want to leave you with some reflection and questions. Before that, this is a great quote that we have in our book, right? The goal of sex is the big O. And in is not an orgasm, is oneness, loving the whole person, not just the body parts, connecting in a deeper level. So that's what we wanted to deliver in this chapter for Boundless Love on Book Bytes and sex and intimacy before marriage is really building that intimacy, taking kind of sex a little bit out of the equation and thinking that, hey, you can build intimacy by loving the whole person in multiple ways, right? So I want to leave you with some reflection questions, right? And one of the questions that we ask a lot of couples that we facilitate pre-marriage retreats, and also couples that we do marriage retreats as well, is how comfortable are you talking about sex with your partner, right? Are you okay sharing your dislikes, and what are you uncomfortable about, right? For me, I felt very ashamed to tell Christina that, hey, I was in a way addicted to pornography. But once I let that go, I think she understood what I was coming from, and really trying to get help, and really, for me to be in a safe space to really take care of the wrong programming that I had, right? The second question is, what are your expectations about the intensity and frequency of sexual activity once you marry, right? That's a question. Let's have this open discussion, right? So that way there's not a frustrated conflict or even fights about that, right? And be honest and share your thoughts, and having that open communication. And in the workshops that Christina and I run, we really emphasize that open communication and really active listening and asking the right questions, and really identifying feelings, because obviously there's going to be feelings coming out when you talk about this very sensitive topic, right? And we try to really work with couples and really identify a feeling, and also knowing that that feeling is just a feeling. So you have the ability to move from a feeling of being shamed or being embarrassed to really saying, you know what, this person is forgiving me and is listening, because they're invested in me. They're invested in the sacrament of marriage for being together. So with that, I want to leave you with this exciting episode, a topic that is really close to me. I'm glad I had the chance to talk to you about it, sex and intimacy before marriage. I encourage everyone to purchase our book if you haven't done so. It's available on Kindle, audio, and also soft copy. And pretty soon it's going to be in Spanish, so it's going to be really exciting. Perhaps we can do a book bites in Spanish and talk about the summary chapter and the questions and the three key points that we want to address. So thank you very much for watching. If you enjoy this video, you think is useful, please share it with someone, your friends, someone that can take advantage of this. And also, if you're watching this through our YouTube channel, please like and subscribe to our channel so you can get weekly notifications of the videos that we do. And with that, God bless you. Have an amazing day. Have an amazing and enrichment of your marriage. And if you are preparing to get married, congratulations. It's a beautiful journey. And with that, I leave you, Javier Llerena, with Boundless Love and creating life-changing marriages. I will see you next time.